The night Iowa faced West Virginia in the 2024 NCAA women's tournament was more than a basketball game. It was a collision of pressure, pride, and impossible expectations that shook the world of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark's final tournament run with Iowa had reached a boiling point, and across the court stood a West Virginia team determined to end the dream before it became legendary. Every possession carried the weight of a season. Every mistake threatened heartbreak, and every shot felt like it could rewrite history. But behind the highlights and the scoreboard was a battle filled with emotion, strategy, intensity, and a rivalry that pushed both teams to their absolute limits. Iowa entered with the spotlight burning brighter than ever, while West Virginia arrived with one mission: silence the noise and prove they belonged on the biggest stage. What happened inside that arena became a moment fans would debate long after the final buzzer. The drama, the tension, the emotion, and the unforgettable clashes created a tournament battle unlike any other. Because this was not just about advancing to the next round. It was about legacy, survival, and the fight to control the story of women's basketball forever and beyond. Before the pressure, before the cameras, and before millions of fans were watching every single move, Iowa women's basketball was building something that had never been seen before. A program that once fought for national recognition suddenly found itself at the center of the basketball universe because of one player who changed everything: Caitlin Clark. She was not just putting up unbelievable numbers. She was carrying the expectations of an entire fan base that believed this could be the beginning of something historic. The 2023-24 season was already filled with emotion. Every arena Iowa entered became a spectacle. Fans came early just to watch warm-ups. Opposing teams prepared entire defensive schemes designed around one mission: stop Caitlin Clark. But the pressure came with a price. Every game became a battle against expectations, criticism, and the weight of becoming the face of women's basketball. West Virginia entered this matchup with a completely different story. They were not supposed to be the team standing in Iowa's way. They were viewed as the underdog, the challenger, the team expected to fight for every possession against a powerhouse. But under that label was a group of players who believed they had nothing to lose and everything to prove. For Iowa, this game was about more than just reaching the next round. It was another chapter in Caitlin Clark's final NCAA tournament journey. The spotlight was brighter than ever, and every opponent knew that defeating Iowa would become a defining moment in their own history. The tension surrounding the game was impossible to ignore. Every mistake from Iowa would be magnified. Every defensive stop from West Virginia would feel like a statement. The entire basketball world was waiting to see if the unstoppable offensive force could survive another challenge on the road to a championship. Inside the locker rooms, the emotions were completely different. Iowa carried the burden of being the favorite. They carried the expectations of fans who believed this team was destined for greatness. West Virginia carried the hunger of a team that wanted to shock everyone watching. And then there was the biggest question hanging over the entire matchup. Could anyone actually slow down Caitlin Clark when the pressure reached its highest point? Because West Virginia was not coming into this game to simply participate. They came prepared to disrupt the story everyone expected. They wanted to create doubt, create chaos, and force Iowa into a fight they had not experienced before. As the opening moments approached, the atmosphere became electric. Every camera was focused on Clark. Every defensive adjustment from West Virginia was analyzed. Every possession felt like it could change the direction of the tournament. But what happened next revealed that this was not going to be a simple victory march for Iowa. The game quickly transformed into a battle of survival, where emotions exploded, momentum shifted, and one shocking moment threatened to change everything. The opening minutes of Iowa versus West Virginia immediately showed that this was not going to be the easy tournament game many expected. From the first possession, West Virginia made it clear they were not intimidated by the spotlight, the crowd, or the legend standing across from them. They came with a defensive plan built around one mission: make Caitlin Clark uncomfortable. Every movement was challenged. Every passing lane was attacked. Every shot attempt came with pressure. West Virginia understood that allowing Clark to play her normal game would mean disaster, so they turned the court into a battlefield where every inch had to be earned. But Caitlin Clark had faced this kind of pressure before. The bigger the moment, the brighter the lights, the more attention placed on her shoulders, the more dangerous she became. She was not just playing against 5 defenders. She was playing against expectations, doubters, and the constant demand to prove that she belonged among the greatest players in college basketball history. Then the first major twist began to unfold. Instead of Iowa controlling the pace, West Virginia started forcing Iowa into uncomfortable situations. The rhythm that usually powered the Hawkeyes was disrupted. The fast breaks were harder to create. The open looks were harder to find. The confidence that made Iowa look unstoppable suddenly faced its biggest challenge. The pressure was building. Every possession became emotional. Every whistle became important. Every defensive stand from West Virginia sent shockwaves through the arena. The underdog was refusing to disappear. But the biggest battle was not only happening on the scoreboard. It was happening mentally. Caitlin Clark knew that every opponent wanted the same thing: to be remembered as the team that stopped her final championship pursuit. West Virginia knew that one incredible performance could change how the entire basketball world viewed them forever. The intensity continued rising as physical defense, strategic adjustments, and emotional moments began shaping the game. Iowa had to fight through the frustration of a team refusing to back down, while West Virginia had to survive the pressure of knowing that one mistake could allow Clark to explode. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. The moment where the game threatened to completely change. A single sequence showed exactly why Iowa was dangerous and why West Virginia could not afford even a second of weakness. Caitlin Clark began finding openings. The offense started waking up. The momentum that West Virginia had fought so hard to control started shifting. The arena felt different. The confidence started moving from one side to the other. And suddenly, the question changed. It was no longer, can West Virginia stop Caitlin Clark? The question became, how long can anyone survive once Caitlin Clark finds her rhythm? But just when Iowa looked ready to take complete control, another unexpected challenge appeared, one that tested their patience, their emotions, and their ability to stay focused when everything around them started becoming chaotic. As the battle between Iowa and West Virginia continued, the intensity reached a level where every single possession felt like a final possession. The game was no longer just about statistics, rankings, or tournament expectations. It became a psychological war between a team carrying the weight of history and another team fighting for the biggest moment of their season. West Virginia refused to back down. Every defensive possession was filled with desperation. They knew they were facing one of the most dangerous offensive players college basketball had ever seen, and they understood that allowing even a small opening could lead to a devastating Iowa run. But Iowa had survived these moments all season. They had been through hostile environments. They had faced teams determined to ruin their championship dreams. And every time the pressure increased, Caitlin Clark found another level. The problem was that this game was becoming more than a battle of talent. It became a battle of emotions. Every missed shot carried extra weight. Every turnover felt like a disaster. Every whistle from the officials created another wave of reactions from players and fans. The tension inside the arena continued growing because everyone watching understood that one moment could completely change the outcome. Then came the second major twist. West Virginia started creating problems that even Iowa could not ignore. The physicality increased. The defensive pressure became more aggressive. The Mountaineers forced Iowa to fight for everything. They were not allowing easy possessions, and they were making Clark work harder than she had in previous tournament games. For a moment, the impossible seemed possible. Could West Virginia actually shock the basketball world? Could they become the team that stopped Iowa's historic run? The question started spreading among fans watching around the country. Social media exploded with reactions as people realized this was not the predictable matchup many expected. The underdog was not just competing, they were challenging Iowa's identity. But then Caitlin Clark reminded everyone why she had become the face of women's basketball. Under extreme pressure, she started taking control. The same player who had carried Iowa through countless dramatic moments stepped forward again. The same player who had been criticized, doubted, and targeted throughout her career showed why those moments only fueled her. The momentum began changing. West Virginia had delivered the challenge. Iowa responded with experience. But the deeper the game went, the more obvious it became that this was not just about one player scoring points. It was about leadership, composure, and who could handle the emotional storm when everything became chaotic. Because tournament games are remembered for the moments when everything is on the line. And this game had one more moment waiting. A moment that would create debate among fans, raise questions about strategy, and leave everyone wondering how close West Virginia really came to rewriting the entire story of Iowa's legendary tournament run. The final battle was approaching, and the pressure was about to reach a level neither team could escape. When the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard told only one part of the story. The numbers showed a winner and a loser, but the emotions surrounding Iowa versus West Virginia revealed something much bigger. This was a game that pushed both teams to their limits, a game where every possession carried pressure, and a game that sparked conversations far beyond the arena. For Iowa fans, the feeling was relief, mixed with exhaustion. They had watched their team enter every tournament game with a massive target on their backs. They had watched Caitlin Clark become the center of attention in every building she entered. Every opponent wanted the same thing: to stop the player who had changed the way people viewed women's basketball. But the victory did not erase the tension. Instead, it created even more discussion. Fans across social media immediately began breaking down every major moment. Some praised Iowa's ability to survive another difficult challenge. Others focused on West Virginia's relentless fight and questioned what could have happened if a few key moments had gone differently. West Virginia supporters felt a different emotion. They saw a team that entered as an underdog and refused to be intimidated. They saw players who fought against expectations and pushed one of the most famous teams in the country into a serious battle. Even in defeat, there was a feeling that West Virginia had earned respect on the national stage. But the biggest spotlight remained on Caitlin Clark. Every game during her final NCAA tournament journey carried a different level of attention. Every performance became part of a legacy that would be remembered for generations. The pressure was enormous because the basketball world was not just watching a player compete. They were watching a historic chapter unfold. The public reaction became another storyline itself. Analysts debated Iowa's performance. Fans argued over strategy, officiating, and the intensity of the matchup. Clips from the game spread rapidly as people searched for the moments that define the night. Some viewed it as another example of Clark's greatness under pressure. Others believed West Virginia exposed weaknesses that future opponents could try to exploit. The emotional impact reached beyond the players. The game represented a turning point for women's basketball. The attention, the audience, and the conversations surrounding these matchups showed how much the sport had grown. Every dramatic tournament battle was no longer just a game. It became a national event. But behind all the celebrations and debates was one unavoidable truth. Iowa's journey was not finished. The pressure was only increasing. Each round would bring a stronger opponent, a bigger challenge, and even higher expectations. Caitlin Clark had survived another storm, but surviving was not the same as reaching the ultimate goal. Because after this battle ended, a bigger question remained. Could Iowa continue escaping these pressure-filled moments, or was the next opponent waiting to deliver the one challenge that finally stopped the unstoppable? The story of Iowa versus West Virginia was supposed to be about one thing: a tournament victory. But as the dust settled, it became clear that this game represented something much bigger. It was another chapter in the impossible journey of Caitlin Clark, a player who had transformed from a college basketball superstar into a global phenomenon carrying the expectations of an entire sport. But every legendary journey has a moment where the pressure becomes almost unbearable. And Iowa was approaching that moment. The victory over West Virginia proved that Iowa could survive chaos, survive physical battles, and survive the enormous weight placed on their shoulders. But it also revealed something dangerous. The margin for error was becoming smaller with every game. Every opponent watching now had the blueprint. They knew that the only way to challenge Iowa was to create discomfort, slow the rhythm, and force the Hawkeyes into moments where emotions could become as important as skill. The spotlight that followed Caitlin Clark was both a blessing and a burden. Millions wanted to see her succeed. Millions wanted to see history made. But every team standing in her way wanted to be remembered as the team that stopped the legend. That was the hidden battle happening behind every matchup. It was not just Iowa against another opponent. It was Iowa against the expectations of an entire basketball world. The pressure continued growing. The conversations became louder. Every game became a national event where every shot, every decision, and every reaction was analyzed. And then came the realization that changed everything. The hardest part of Iowa's journey was not reaching the tournament. It was surviving the impossible expectations that came with being the favorite. Caitlin Clark had already changed the game. She had already broken records, filled arenas, and brought attention to women's basketball like never before. But championships are not won through popularity. They are won through surviving the moments where everything starts falling apart. West Virginia had delivered that warning. They showed that Iowa could be challenged. They showed that pressure could create cracks. And they showed every remaining opponent that the path to defeating Iowa was not impossible. Now, with every future game carrying even more weight, the question became more intense than ever. Would Caitlin Clark complete the story everyone dreamed about? Would Iowa continue its historic run and create the perfect ending? Or would another team step forward, embrace the pressure, and become the unexpected villain that ended one of the greatest college basketball stories ever told? Because the tournament was far from over. The biggest battles were still waiting. And somewhere ahead, another opponent was preparing for the opportunity of a lifetime. The chance to stop Caitlin Clark before history could be completed. The Iowa versus West Virginia battle was more than just another tournament game. It was a reminder of why March basketball creates unforgettable moments, pressure, emotion, rivalries, and the fight to protect a dream when everything is on the line. Caitlin Clark and Iowa continued their historic journey, but every challenge revealed just how difficult the road to greatness truly was. West Virginia proved they belonged, pushed the game to the edge, and showed that no opponent could be overlooked. Now the question remains, where does this moment rank among the most intense games of Iowa's legendary run? Let us know your thoughts. Was this a statement win for Caitlin Clark and Iowa, or did West Virginia expose something that future opponents could use? Like the video, subscribe for more unforgettable women's basketball stories, and stay tuned for the next chapter in this incredible journey.